Hi, Artist Eden Lake. Hope you're having a great day. We've been working the last couple class periods on creating photos of our rotational design pieces. So examples like this, or the graph paper ones. And today I'm going to show you how to turn that into our final product, which is going to be your window hanger that's clear that you can put up on the glass and the sunlight will come through it and light it up. So you've been given graph paper that's cut to the correct size. This is a crucial piece. You can use any paper you want, but this square is going to help you make everything work correctly. Okay? I'm going to show you how, I said if you did a really good job at prepping yourself, that your final product would be able to use that to kind of make your square. And that's 100% true. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to use my iPad to do some tracing. You might be able to see through this graph paper, but it's harder than using just a normal piece of lined paper. So if you have just a normal piece of lined paper, this graph paper will help you get the right size, but it's going to be easier to trace through something like this or a blank piece of paper. So Mr. J is going to take his graph paper that's the right size. I'm going to line it up on this corner and this edge, and I'm going to cut it once I have it the correct size. You want to get it as close as you can so that everything works out in the correct measurements. So I'm just getting rid of that top as I get rid of it. I don't need it anymore. Cutting right along that graph paper edge, and I'm setting the scrap to the side because I don't need it. Okay, now my notepad is the same size as my graph paper. I'm going to make sure my screen is as bright as possible. So I'm going to go from that upper corner and swipe in, and my brightness, how bright my iPad is, I'm going to make sure it's as bright as it can be. And it might make it a little harder for you to see right now, but when this is taking place, it's going to make it easier. So you want to make your screen as bright as possible. And then I'm going to use this little box with an arrow pointing up. So there's a box with an arrow pointing up. It's right at the top. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to scroll through these options right here to use as wallpaper. So use as wallpaper. It has like a little phone icon right next to it. And it's going to show me that picture. And right now I can move that picture around. So I want to move it as high as I can up. Well, I'm actually going to use this one. So I'm going to move it as high as I can up. I'm going to zoom out, and I want to make my piece of paper the same size as that square. So I'm laying my piece of paper on top, and I'm just moving this iPad until my square matches with that square. Once it does, I'm going to hit set on the bottom, and I'm going to set it as both. So it's going to say, it says set as lock screen, set as home screen. I'm going to do the bottom one. And now, when I exit out of all this, my picture is right there. I already set it up, but I moved one of my apps to the very back so that it would just be sitting and it would be basically blank. And I could have even probably done this better by putting this square over here in this upper corner, because then that little icon wouldn't be in the way. I can do one of two things. I can either set my piece of paper on top and just hold it. It might slide around a little bit, but regardless of me touching the screen, my picture's not going to move. So if you have a little bit of tape at home, and you take just a little bit of tape once you have your square lined up, and just put that one piece of tape down, you could even do a little piece on the other side, around another corner. Now this piece of paper is not going to move at all. So then I'm just going to go through and trace out on all of the lines. And I already made a little mistake, so I'm just going to erase that, but because it's on my home screen, it's not going to make that move. For you to see, and for me to see. So I had too much light, it was making it hard to see. So if you went in a little bit of a darker room, Okay. Now, if I take that off of my screen, I can just peel my tape right off. Or I could just fold it under. Now I've got a template of that picture. So that is the same drawing that was on my iPad. So I can set my iPad aside. Hey there, artists. I'm going to pause the video right there. I want you to get yourself set up. So you're going to need your graph paper, a different piece of paper that's easier to see through if that's what you'd like to use. And you can either just draw straight on your square paper, or you can trace like I did in that video. But I want you to get your square of paper ready before you move on to the next video.